Alright, I think that's working. Okay, hello, my name is Luke. I'm here today. I'm working on an iMac G3 analog board. So the story behind this one, I have this, there it is there, iMac G3 tray loader, which I picked up, needed a Lime one. I didn't have the Lime one of the tray loaders before. So I picked that up and it was all working, but it definitely had flyback issues. You could tell it was making arcing sounds. The screen was getting interference whenever it would sort of arc, and it would just turn off after a while. Obviously something would happen inside the flyback transformer and it would cause the analog board to short, and safety systems kicked in and it would turn off. I actually then swapped the part of the analog board away with another tray loader, and that one had a similar issue, but what I found after reflowing the solder on the flyback transformer, it actually seemed to, and running it for a while, like I don't know whether it just hadn't been on for a long time, this replacement one that I was using hadn't been on for a long while, so the act of running it for a while, reflowing, seemed to make the problem go away. So I ended up putting that analog board with the flyback on it into the Mac, and it was fine. It ran happily. I ran it for days as tests, and then the problem started again. So obviously whatever I did to that analog board to try and fix it helped a little bit, but it delayed the inevitable problem that these old iMacs seem to have with their flybacks. So where we are today, I want to actually put the original part of the analog board with the flyback transformer back in that iMac G3, which is working at the moment. As you can see, it's running perfectly. It's not arcing or anything like that, but I bet you it turns off at some point. It just seems to happen. Sometimes, depends. I haven't run it for a few days, so I've just turned it on now, so we'll see. Anyway, so what I wanted to do today, I'll just flick to my other camera. On my bench here, I have part of the analog board for this iMac G3. This is the original one that was in that iMac itself. So I don't know if you've never actually dealt with the iMac analog boards. They're different between the tray loaders and the slot loaders. The slot loaders, completely different kettle of fish. The tray loaders have effectively two boards. So you've got this one, which is the high voltage side, and this is what goes onto the back of the CRT, into the neck of the CRT, and obviously it's got the flyback transformer on it there, as you can see. Move that way. And yeah, this is the thing that does the whole high voltage side of it, and obviously sends the video signal, because this is the video signal cable, to the CRT. So basically video signal goes in there, and into the actual CRT itself. So that's the high voltage side. Then you've got this other side over here. Now this is the other half. So when you actually look at the iMac G3, effectively you've got this, let me do it this way. This one on this side. There we go, like that. It's basically, they're mounted like that inside around the CRT. Now this one is effectively what takes in the 240 volts, or if you're in America, 110 volts, and deals with all the high, very, like literally the sort of your main electricity coming in, and then does the, essentially manages the voltages, the DC side of the power for the actual computers. So that is then what goes into the into the actual body of the computer and powers everything up. So that side I think is okay, and that it's this problem. I'm just going to get that one out of the way. Seems to be majority of the time with this side of the board. So that iMac G3 that I was talking about there before, I have literally, this is the original one that was from that iMac. So the fault that this one had was essentially arcing and turning off. But really this one was a lot more prevalent. I tried reflowing it, didn't help. And then I also, what else did I do? Yeah, I tried reflowing this, and I've ran it for a while because I found that sometimes helps, but it didn't really in this case. So hence why I replaced it. But today what we're going to do is swap this out. So I've managed to get a hold of a replacement flyback. So that's this one here. So in this box here, now this is a brand new one. Now unfortunately they don't make these anymore, so this is new old stock that I managed to pick up. And as you can see, it is brand spanking new. Now the trick with this is that it's actually a slightly different version of flyback. So these ones, these boards, there's two of them. There's two revisions of these boards. So there is a revision 1 and revision 2. Revision 2 is what these two boards that I've just shown here today are. These are the revision 2 analog boards that were often in the color tray loaders. But also some of the earlier color tray loaders had the revision 1. Revision 1's just a different layout. They're not compatible with each other, so you can't mix and match them. But they did have a different flyback between the two. So this one has, if you look at the model number on it, what is it? Can't quite see the number. 617AZ1017D. 1017D sounds like the USS Enterprise. So that is the one that's on here. Now this replacement one is a 6107 4Z. Is that 4Z on that one? 6174, oh yeah, 4Z, sorry, I made a mistake when I said that before. 617 4Z 103G. Now, apparently, everything I've read about this and looked up the sort of schematics of this, compatible. I don't think they're compatible the other way around though. So for example, I don't think you can use one of these ones, the 1017Ds, on a Rev 1, I think. But for the purposes of what we've got here, so now I've got this old one here. This is another one I replaced recently. This is actually a flyback transformer from a Rev 1. These ones were notoriously bad for failing, even more so. And this is the exact same match. So this is the exact same model number. So this, and you can see it's like a different color. This one doesn't work at all. When this one, essentially, as soon as the high voltage kicked in on this analog board, the machine would just turn off. So it's obviously got a short in it, so it's dead. But that is, as I said, that is actually the same revision as this one. So from what I understand, you can use, would that be right? Yeah. Okay, so sorry, what I was saying was, from what I can understand, it's right. The one that ends in 103G, which is in the Rev 1, you can replace with a like for like, so a 103G. Works fine. The Rev 2, which has a 1017D, you can also replace with that same flyback. What you can't do, apparently, is you can't then install one of the 1017Ds into the Rev 1s. But that's not what we're doing today. So anyway, that's from what I understand, is a different pin, a slightly different pin, something around pin 8, I think, is slightly different on these older ones. So anyway, we'll see. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to rip this off and replace it with another one, this brand new one. The other thing I'm going to replace is this thing here, which is the horizontal output transistor. Generally, from what I've read and what I've heard about CRTs, generally if you replace this, you should always replace this as well. And basically, it's actually this one here. Just it effectively, I think if this has got any faults in it as well, because it's obviously tied pretty much to the actual flyback, it will potentially damage your brand new flyback that you're putting on this. So it's generally a good idea, if you're replacing the flyback, to also replace the horizontal output transistor. So that is what we're going to do today. And then in another future video, I will put the whole thing back together and test it out. I probably won't have time for that today though. All right, so let's get started. Now, I'm going to get rid of this cable. Now, this actually comes with essentially, obviously, the new anode cap and obviously wires that are going to be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to chop this off at about the midway point, just in case I ever want to try and use it again. This one, as I said, isn't completely dead, so I don't particularly want to ruin it. But I do need these cables, so I'm just going to chop them in the middle here. And then I will rejoin the new one to these. And then we're just going to unplug the other parts of this so that I can then get that out of the way so I don't damage it. And that'll just make it a little bit easier for us to work on this. Oh, interesting. This has an interesting little thing here, which is obviously designed to keep the wires at bay or direct the wires there, which this new one does not have. So anyway, no big whoop. All right. Now we've got to desolder the 10 pins and these two big ones here, and we've obviously got to get rid of, unsolder this horizontal output transistor that's on here. That's what we're going to be doing today, and we'll then replace it. So I'm just going to get my extraction fan in here just so that I can suck away any fumes. And we need some, oops, we need some flux. Now I have previously reflowed these, so that's generally the first thing I would recommend if you're ever working on one of these boards to do, is to reflow these to start with. Just that, well, firstly, might help repair it. Oh, well, repair, I say repair in air quotes. Might help fix the problem. If it doesn't, it also helps if you want to desolder it, if they've got fresh solder on there. So I'll just turn my fan on. Okay. I'm just going to try and suck most of the solder away if I can. And then I'm going to use solder wick to get rid of the rest of it. Now in the other one that I've done previously of this, I found these really hard to get off. Generally do not want to remove themselves. Solder flux on these. Just being reasonably liberal with this, the flux, just to help things as much as possible. So the problem I found in the past with the one I did this is that there's also essentially a bit of copper on the other side of the board. And so the solder actually gets into there and solders effectively the pin onto the other side of the board as well. Now you can't get to that. So we'll see how this one goes, but the last time I did this, I did have to use a fair bit of force to get the bolt to release the transformer. That one's working well though. That was actually a Rev 1, but I put the same flyback on it, replacement. That one's, as I said before, is the exact same model of flyback. And I'm running tests on that one at the moment, and that's working really well. And it was not a happy chappy beforehand. As I said, that flyback that I showed you, that was dead, like it had completely died. And that iMac G3, when I actually picked it up, was still in its box. When I got it home, I turned it on, it powered up, but no video came on, and the high voltage never kicked in. When I opened it up, the battery had exploded, had one of the lovely Maxwell red batteries on it, and had destroyed the logic board. So essentially, and destroyed and actually really damaged the case as well of the iMac. So anyway, I ended up stripping that one down and used it for parts. I was actually going to e-waste the analog board because I think at one point I did test it with another iMac, and I saw that problem. But as soon as the actual video signal kicked in, it would just short out and turn off. But doing this same exercise with it, putting the brand new flyback on it, works perfectly now. So very happy with that. Alright, now we're going to use a bit of solder wick to try and get the rest of this solder off here. That one looks pretty good. Okay, I need my glasses on so I can properly see what I'm doing. It is super windy here today in Melbourne. It was raining before. You can sort of see the sun's coming in the door there, but you can see the trees moving around because it is super windy. So I'll be interested to see how well this one comes out of the board. And the problem with removing one of these, you've got a lot of pins, and it only takes one of those to be well soldered on to make it very hard to remove. And obviously the aim of this is to try and get this off the board without causing any damage to it. I seriously doubt Apple designed these to be serviceable. I feel like when these were faulty back in the day, in the late 90s or early 2000s, they would have just replaced it with a new one, and then this would have just gone to e-waste, I imagine. But fast forward 20 odd years, I'm going to try and keep these things alive a bit. At least that's what I'm trying to do. The iMac is still running behind me and has not turned off. It's probably going to spite me today and just stay on. I must say, all this solder's coming off quite well. I've seen a fair bit on that one. I can probably zoom my camera in a bit more actually. Let's try that. All right. This one definitely still has a fair bit of solder on it. That seemed to suck most of it out just then. Come on. Okay. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to give each of these just a bit of a wiggle, just so in case there's any solder still attached. Hopefully it might just... Oh, actually, I think it's releasing. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. It actually just fell out. That was much easier than that last one. My God. She's out. Now, interestingly enough, this board is different to the Rev 1 one. So like what I was saying, the problem I had with the Rev 1 one was that there's actually copper on this side of the board as well. And what had happened is solder had leaked through and actually soldered the pins on this side of the board as well. And because you can't get in there, you just couldn't get it off. But it doesn't seem to be a problem on this Rev 2 board because there's no copper on this side. So literally the moment you release everything off there, gee, that makes that board lighter. So you actually don't realize there's a lot of weight in these things. And so there you go. There is, as you can see, a 1701D. Effectively, pretty much the same series, obviously just a slightly different revision. They look very much the same. I think that's a little bit bigger on one side, so I'm probably going to have to give this... now that I've zoomed in, I need to zoom back out. I might have to give this resistor here a bit of a nudge that way, because I think it actually will interfere. All right. I'm very impressed how easily that came out. All right, we're going to just do those, clean this up a bit, because we've got a fair bit of flux all over the place. Just get this excess flux off here. It's very sticky. So there you go. There's something we learnt. Rev 2 one, much easier to remove that than the Rev 1s. I was saying before, as far as I know, from looking at the schematics, the main difference is the pin 8. Now, obviously, pin 8 on this one is this one here, and it's not doing anything. So it's obviously, oops, there we go. It's got a solder point, but it's just effectively doesn't go anywhere. Same with pin 10. There's nothing going on with pin 10. Everything else does go somewhere. So I would have to look at the bottom of the Rev 1 analog board again to see if there's anything different about where pin 8 goes on that one. I mean, it still works, so obviously it didn't cause it any major grief. Now while I'm doing the desoldering, I'm going to desolder this output transistor over the side here as well and get that off. Look at that, that looks nice. Nice and clean now. And we'll just give this a bit of a clean on this side because a bit of flux has come through. Here we go. All right, now we're going to get this output transistor off. To do that, we're going to need to unscrew it. I need a bigger screwdriver, I think, because that is a bit harder than I was expecting. Just remove that screw. And pop that over there so it's safe and I don't lose it. And then we'll just get this and just pop that out a little bit. Let's see whether it's going to come away from the thing. All right, yep. Okay. Now I had a lot of trouble when I last did this getting this off as well. Same problem because it also had copper on this side of the board. But again, this doesn't look like there is any there. It just looks like it's going down into those three holes there. So now we need to find, where is it? Those three there, the ones we want to get off. So we'll adopt the same approach, a bit of flux on them. And turn my fan back on. All right. Yeah, that came out nice and easy. I think this is going to be easy. This is coming away really easily. Now I had previously reflowed this as well when I did my first repair attempt on this board. So, yep, there it goes. It's going to fall in. Off. Now that may actually be fine, and I will test it out later. But like I said, from what I've read on these, it's generally the best idea is to replace the horizontal output transistor at the same time as the flyback. Just because it's obviously part of the same circuit, and if it's got any, if it causes any damage, like if it arcs, it could damage other parts of the board. What I've generally found, like when these flybacks fail in these original tray loader iMacs, they just seem to turn off. They won't turn on anymore, or won't do the high voltage. The screen won't come on. With the more newer iMac G3s, the slot loaders, that it seems to take the board out with it. You'll get burning and the thing won't power on at all anymore. I've got one sitting on the floor over there that I am going to pull apart because I want to actually try and work out if I can repair it. So the act of me doing this one today is to try and clear some bench space so I can actually work on that one. Anyway, that's nice and clear now. And just clean off our compound on there. Yeah. And just clean down there as well. I've got these replacement ones here for these. Anyway, I got these with the flybacks that I bought. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this resistor a bit of a move with my fingers, just because I know it caused problems and it's very close to the side of the flyback there. And then we get our new one and line it up and see if this is going to work. Now the other thing I had trouble with this when I did the Rev 1 one was just getting these pins to all go in the right holes. Okay, these ones are a little bit bent. Just need to straighten them up a bit. Because you don't have a lot of play with that. Also super hard to see. That resistor's still in the way. I may have to take a little bit of the plastic off the side of the flyback there. Okay, that pin is the one that's causing me the most grief because it is bent. I didn't see that. There we go. Bent. Not straight at all. Okay, I think all of those, except that pin, I've got one pin that is not wanting to go into the hole. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and now we've got problems with that resistor. So the problem I've got is, if you just see there, that resistor is clipping on this bit of plastic. Now what I did the other day when I did this is I actually did some slight snipping to remove it. It just seems to be a bit of outer shell plastic. I'm going to just give it a bit more of a push. The other thing I can do is potentially take it off and reapply it, put it back on. A bit further away somehow, but let's just see how we go. Now, I mean, there we go, that's in. All the pins are nicely out through here. It's sitting pretty nice and flat on the circuit board. It's somewhat resting on that resistor, but I'm going to just check something with this because I can see that's shiny on there. I just want to make sure there isn't a bit of metal there. No, it just seems to be plastic. Nope, I just touched the pins together, that's what did that. Just making sure, it definitely looks just plasticky. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I did the last time I did this as well. Just take the slight bit of plastic off, just that little bit of plastic there. Okay. Let's put this back on again and solder it on. Make sure all the pins are actually all the way through nicely. So they look like they are. I'm just going to do 2 of these on opposite sides to start with to make sure we've got it nice and in position. Alright, now we just go around and do all of them. Whenever I'm dealing with a flyback, I generally try to use a nice high quality solder as well. just to make sure, because obviously it's got to be able to deal with a lot of heat and all the high voltages that are going to go through it. So basically, if this works, I'll put it back in the iMac, which is still running. And then I'll probably actually repair that one as well and keep it as a spare. Because when I bought the Flyback, I actually bought 2 of them. Okay, all soldered in. Looks pretty good. There we go. We'll just clean off our flux again. Right, get rid of that. Yeah, like I was saying, it's interesting. I found with the failures of these, and just in my observations of looking at them, these Rev 1 boards, the ones that had that bone flyback in them, notoriously bad for failing. And they were like the original Bondi iMacs, and like I said, the first batches of the colours, and then they obviously changed something. They went with this Model 2. Oh, I often wonder why they did it, because they did redesign the board a bit. One thing I have found, that Rev 1 board, anything ever happens with it, like if it doesn't get powered off properly, like you actually disconnect the power without shutting the machine down, it's kind of like it gets in a bit of a weird state and then it won't turn back on. And you basically have to unplug it and let it sit there for a little while. So obviously it completely discharges, and then it turns back on again. And it makes me wonder whether they had some problems in the original iMacs that they just saw those kind of faults, and that's why they then redesigned this board. And these boards I think were made by LG. I'm pretty sure they've got LG CRTs in them, and these were all manufactured by LG. But yeah, so the good thing though with these is, like I said, when they fail, they just seem to die and don't do any major damage. Whereas the slot loaders, when they die, they like take the computer with it, which is not what you want at all. But that is my next challenge, because I want to try and repair that, because I have a lot of slot loader iMacs that possibly need a new flybacks. Obviously these iMacs had a fan in them, so cooling wise probably better. Whereas the tray loaders had a fan in them, the slot loaders did not. Yeah, when this guy, he sent me these heat transfer things. So that is, I assume goes on there. I don't know whether I want to use that or not, or whether I'll just use some paste, thermal paste on it. I don't know, they look a bit, they just look like paper. So I may not use those. Instead, I got some thermal paste over here. I'm just going to stick a bit on him. And then we'll just use this to just spread it around a bit. All right, now we need to get this in, but we're going to have to finagle it with the screw at the same time. Magnetic screwdriver, hopefully, yes, there we go. So we're just going to do that. And right there like that. Make sure he's nice and tight on there. And rinse and repeat and solder this on. Where's my solder gun? There. So I think with that other one, oh, there you go. That's now off. Haha, there you go. Hold on. See? Said it would turn off at some point. I could probably turn it back on, but I shan't at the moment. Because as much as I said, it doesn't seem to do any damage to the actual computer when it shorts. I don't want to test that theory too much. I feel like the more I do it, the more I'm playing with fire, really, and it'll just eventually go and take out the whole thing. That said, when I test this, I'm not going to test it with that the same logic board that's in there at the moment. I've got another battery bombed logic board. That works, it powers on, and actually it chimes, but it never starts the video signal because the battery damaged the battery damaged where all the video circuitry is on it, so it actually never manages to start the video signal. But it's a good test board because I know it works. Now I just need to chop these, and I just want to do this to make them a bit shorter and just make sure I don't end up with bits of metal flying over the board. So keep them out of the way. There we go. And now we'll just clean that as well. Okay, here we go. All soldering there done. Now what we need to do is, probably should put this ferrite core back on. How is this attached? Oh, I see. Basically got this cable tie going through there. That was holding the wires on. And we'll just chop this. Nice long, look how long that is. All the way up here. Whereas if I compare that to the length of the other one, it's like considerably longer. Now what we need to do is these wires need to route that way based on the way the other one was done. And we'll put the ferrite core back in there as well. May as well. And I will follow the Apple design trick of putting a cable tie through here. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to the board that goes at the end of the anode cap needs to be reattached. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow their, again, Apple design, and just do some twisty ties with these wires like that. Just so they keep together. Now this smaller one appears to be like a grounding wire that goes into this here. It was possible I could get that out, but I'm just actually just going to join the wires. I figure a bit of extra wire length is not the worst thing in the world for this. And then obviously this is the one that has the voltages on it. So, right, I probably don't need them to be this long though. So let's just do it about here and here. And let's just take a bit of the insulation off. I don't know where that went. And this thicker wire is definitely the one that has the voltages going through it. Just does not want to give up. There it is. It's just a straight bit of wire. So thinner to thinner, so that's our grounding wire there. Oh, you know what we need? Need some heat shrink. I have a big bag of it. And I need to find one that's not too big. That one's too small. I don't know, I feel like this is too big. Maybe. It's going to be too big for that one. Actually, this yellow one looks good. So, oh, is it? It's actually the same size. It is the exact same size as the red one. But this white one, same as well. Oh, we'll go with the red. And we'll just give ourselves a nice long stint of that. And same for this one. I bought this this bag, Heat Shrink Pack Ultimate, 1.5 millimeter to 20 millimeter, and I've got it from J-Car. It's just full of different sizes of heat shrink. So works well for this, because it just means you've always got some sort of heat shrink on hand. And I'm just going to try and use my pliers to do a little bit of a twist with this wire, like that, and the same with this one. There we go. All right, now we'll just do a bit of solder on them as well, just to make sure they're nice and tightly interwoven. Don't think it's going to go anywhere. Just bend that down like that, so we can get this wire nice and straight. Okay, sorry, the sun's coming in there now. There we go. So now put that up there like that, and if I turn my heat gun on, I'll just shrink this down. I swear this thing is dying. Every time I use it, it doesn't seem to have as much suction. Well, not suction, suction's not the right word. Airflow. Like I can turn, there's a dial on the thing here, which allows me to turn it up and down. But I swear, I reckon the fan is crapping itself. All right, there we go. This one's working. I mean, it's working. There is definitely hot air coming out. I just don't think it's got the same airflow that it had when I first got it. I just got it from Amazon, so it's not a particularly great one. In fact, I think I'm going to replace it soon. And this effort that it's given me today is going to just make me want to do it even more so. Let's move away from the wall so I don't burn anything. there. All right. So there we have it. Tempted just to wrap a little bit of insulation tape just around this, just for an extra bit of caution. Just because there's little sharp edges on it, and I don't want them ever to like come out through there. There we go. And I'm now out of red insulation tape. That is the end of that. So I need to buy some more. Okay. That's it. I think we're done. So that's all on. That's reattached there. And then, so this is definitely a much longer cable than it had previously, but that's all right. We'll just, longer is better. That just means this one needs to go back in there, and that one needs to go back in there. And then obviously the other half of the analog board plugs into these two here. And that's our faulty, well not faulty, my old one we removed. I'll put a mark on that and put that with the flyback that I've taken away. As I said, this is not dead. So it could be, I could reuse it. It's just, it just doesn't last. You turn it, like I said, like with that one, it turns on and then it turns off, and probably is going to eventually die. I'd love to be able to repair this somehow, but I don't know how you get into it or what, just because they don't make any more new ones of these. So the newer ones that you can get of these today are eventually going to disappear, and then we're stuffed. Well, it's not stuffed, it just means you have to go for more modern solutions, like actually replacing the CRT with an LCD or something like that. But in the end of the day, hopefully this will give the iMac many more years of life. And hopefully whatever eventually takes it out is nothing to do with this. So yeah, I'm happy with that. That is all looking really good. So that's part one of this journey. Sadly, I don't have time to actually pull that iMac apart today and stick this in it, but that is going to be a job for this week. So I will stream that at the same time when I do it. So if you found this interesting, please, oh, I've done that around the way. Subscribe, and hopefully when that video comes up, you can see whether this works or it doesn't. I'm hoping, and I'm going to put good vibes into the universe, that it does work really well. There we go. But we'll see. So that is the job for next time. Move that way. Move. Definitely the this one had that little arm that was obviously designed to keep the cables nice and tidy. This doesn't have it, so I just have to flap around over here, but it'll be fine. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please leave comments. Happy to have feedback and let me know what you think. Yeah, as I said, I'll do another video this week, and I will swap it, pull that apart, and that's a journey. They're fun, although I've gotten quite good at pulling those apart now. Yeah, pulling that apart and putting this half back into it, and then testing. We'll see whether it works. So look out for part 2. It'll be sometime this week, in the week ahead. Until then, have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.